Okay, so we left off when it was talking about how which piece does not support the answer to part A. So this is why it's important that you have to read the question because it says does not. It may say does best support or does not best support. And so when I think about which ones do not, like you have to think about which ones do not give me information. If it's to inform, what pieces of evidence is not giving me any information about the topic, right? And so when I read these, it says teeth are a fairly heavy part of an animal's body. That's actually giving me information. So I can X that out. I can also eliminate where it says beaks are lighter than teeth. That's a real fact. I can X that out. To be light enough to fly, birds develop beaks. D is also a piece of information. B says, have you ever heard the expression, they're as rare as hen's teeth? That's not an actual fact. That's just a question to get you interested in the text. And so I'm going to highlight B because that is not a part of the piece of evidence, okay? That supports our answer. And so let's go ahead and go down to our guided practice. Okay, guys, so this is the time in the text or in the part of the lesson where you can pause and you can do it on your own. And you can come back and see if your answers were correct. I highly recommend that. I recommend that you pause the tape, do it on your own first, and come back and see if your answers were right. That way, you'll be able to know if you're on the right track and you'll be closer to getting a good grade on your exit ticket, okay? So let's go ahead and begin. When you think about the text, you got to make sure that you're still writing your gist, guys. It should be able to allow you to type in. So when you think about this first paragraph, it says, want to play a role in saving our planet? If you do, then saying yes to solar energy is a great place to start. So it's basically giving you ways on how you can be a part of saving the planet by using solar energy, right? So when we think of the gist, the passage is trying to get the reader to find ways to save the planet by using solar energy. Okay, very simple. And then the gist, so I can highlight that, I can bold that. And so the gist for that is okay. And so the gist for part two or for paragraph two is talking about, it says humans have taken advantage of solar energy since ancient times, even the Greeks and the Chinese. So it's talking about how solar energy was existed even during the ancient times, right? Okay, excellent. And so you see how quick it is to just quickly write a gist for each paragraph. That way you'll be able to know specifically what the text is about, okay? And so now you have to think about it. Is this passage trying to persuade me to do something, or is it really basically informing me about something? So when you think about the whole passage as a whole, it's talking about solar energy, right? And in my mind, it's thinking about, it's giving us information about solar energy and how good it is for the planet. And so I know that they are informing us about solar energy. Okay. So if you wrote that, then you were correct. Number two, which option describes the main purpose of the history of solar energy section? So this is very important. It's talking about the second section specifically, not the entire passage. So this is why it's very important for you to pay attention to the question. So when you think about the second section, The gist talks about how solar energy existed during ancient times, right? And so I know that the reader is giving me information about what happened during those times before. So when I look at the different options, I can automatically go ahead and X out C, because the I know that like the purpose is not to persuade. The rest of them say inform, and so this one it gets tricky. This is why you have to specifically read the answer choices to see what type of information is the author giving us. So A, to inform the reader about reasons why solar energy is the most effective type of energy. Okay. B, to inform the reader about another type of solar energy. Or D, to inform the reader on how Greeks first used solar energy. So remember, number 2 is not asking about the text as a whole. It's talking about specifically the second section. And so when I think about the second section, it's not talking about how solar energy is the most effective energy. No, that was more so in the first paragraph. Now we're between B and D. My gist specifically talks about how solar energy existed during ancient times. That means ancient, we know it means old, right? That was one of our vocabulary words. And so I can eliminate D because I specifically know that Greeks used solar energy first, and that was during the ancient times. And so my answer would be D, to inform the reader on how Greeks first used solar energy. 3, what pieces of evidence best support the answer, right? So this time it's not saying does not, it's saying which evidence best supports it, right? So when we think about that, we have to think about what matches the fact that the reader is telling us how the Greeks first used solar energy. So I can automatically eliminate B and D because it doesn't talk anything about the Greeks or during ancient times. When I look at A and C, it's very tricky, right? Because A talks about how humans have taken advantage of solar energy since ancient times, but C specifically talks about how the Greeks strategically placed structures toward the south for those solar energy towers. And so I will eliminate A because it doesn't specifically talk about the Greeks. And so C would be the best piece of evidence that matches my answer for A. So this is why you have to be very, very, very specific on what you're looking for, because it could trick you. So now we have come to the time in our lesson where this is your independent practice. You are going to do it on your own. Really take the independent practice seriously so that on the exit ticket you can get a good grade, okay? And tomorrow we're going to continue working on author's purpose, because your FSA is going to be all about author's purpose, okay? So you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of every single lesson that we're doing this week. All right, guys, see you again tomorrow.